In the soul of our most pure Queen, there was no fault to deplore, no after effects of the sensible operations, no dependence upon the body, and therefore these illuminations and purifications immediately wrought the other effects, beginning to elevate her nature to a condition not so far removed from the ultimate supreme end. In addition to this, they caused, in this most pure soul, new sentiments and movements of humility, and knowledge of the nothingness of the creature in comparison with the Creator and his blessings. Thus her inflamed heart was incited to many other heroic acts of virtue. Like effects are produced in a corresponding degree in other souls, who are to be prepared for the visions of the Deity. Our curtailed insight might well hold that the foregoing preparations are sufficient for being admitted to the beatific vision, but they are not. Still another quality is wanting, a divine emanation or light, the light of glory. This new cleansing, though it is similar in nature to those already spoken of, is altogether different from them in its effects. For it raises the soul to a very high and serene state where, in greatest tranquility, it enjoys the sweetest peace, which is not felt in connection with the first mentioned purifications. For in those the pain and bitterness of sin is still felt, if the soul was guilty of any, and if not, then there remains still the earthly weight of our lower nature. These effects are not compatible with the close approach and assimilation to the supreme blessedness. It seems to me that the first purifications serve to mortify, and that, which I am now referring to, serves to revivify and heal nature. God proceeds in these things like the painter who first delineates the image, then applies the ground colors, and at last puts on the finishing touches, so that the picture comes to light well defined. Over and above all these purifications, preparations, and their admirable effects, God adds still a last one, which is the light of glory by which the soul raises itself to attain and enjoy the beatific vision of God. In this light, the Godhead manifests itself, for without this light, God cannot be seen by any creature. Since the natural powers of the creature cannot attain to this light and these preparations, therefore it is impossible to see God by the natural faculties alone, for all this far exceeds the forces of nature. With all this beauty and adornment, the spouse of the Holy Ghost, the daughter of the Father, and the mother of the Son, was furnished for her entrance into the chamber of the divinity, in order to enjoy from time to time the beatific vision and intuitive fruition. And as these favors were given to her according to the measure of her dignity and grace, therefore it is impossible to encompass the godlike proportions of her enlightenment by the reasoning powers or the thoughts of a creature, and much less of an ignorant woman. Still less can the joys of her soul be estimated or calculated, when it was thus exalted above all that is most supreme in the highest seraphim and saints. If in regard to all the just, even the lowest of those who enjoy God, it is infallibly true that neither eye has seen, nor ears heard, nor mind conceived what God has prepared for his elect, what must be the enjoyment of the greater saints. And if the same apostle who says this confesses that he cannot repeat what he had heard, what shall we, in our narrow limitation of powers, be able to say of the saint of the saints, the mother of him who is the glory of the saints? Next to the soul of her most holy Son, who was man and true God, she was the one who knew and saw the greatest mysteries and sacraments in those infinite and hidden immensities of the divinity. To her, more than to all the blessed in their entirety, were thrown open the infinite treasures, the expanding vastnesses of that inaccessible being, unlimited by any beginning or end. She, as the city of God, was inundated by the ecstatic torrents of the Supreme Being, overwhelming her with the impetuous waves of wisdom and grace, spiritualizing and impregnating her with the spirit of the divinity.